Hello, this is Neiman from the Save It for the podcast. Joined with me today is our co-host and friend.
Hello, I'm Aaron.
Okay, thank God. I was really hoping I wasn't going to have to pronounce that.
No, it's fine.
I was crossing my fingers very underneath my desk. I was like, please
Yeah,
don't make me say it.
it's fine. It's fine. I actually, um, like the way you pronounce it is actually more accurate than anyone else I've met in America. So you're good.
Really, when I say Aaron?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Oh, that's
I mean,
good.
it's because it's a matter of because my name is not really Aaron, and some people call me
Mm,
Ronnie, and it's
yeah.
not really Ronnie either. It's Eran, but like
Mm,
nobody can pronounce it. So I just
yeah.
go by, hey, just call me Aaron. It's fine.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
you know,
it's
interest
same thing. Yeah.
interestingly enough, when you asked me if you were pronouncing Iraqi correctly?
Yeah.
So,
It seems like so long ago.
so in the same vein, um, Iraqi, even though it's technically not the pronunciation, is what I tell people is the pronunciation.
Oh,
But
darn.
the actual pronunciation is Arake. But I usually don't tell people that because likewise, it's
Yeah.
very difficult for people to pronounce. So
Yeah.
um, after hearing our last name pronounced that way by our teachers for so long,
Yeah.
my siblings and I just decided to introduce ourselves as Iraqi
Yeah,
because
it's a
it's
matter
easier.
it's a matter of like it's a kind of apathy you gain after living in America for so long that like eventually you're like just call me Aaron or just pronounce it as Iraqi, like don't worry about it, you know, because after a while, especially like I mean there's a certain type of people in America that's that's open-minded and willing to listen and learn, but stubborn enough to not know when they're not pronouncing things correctly. You
Mm,
know, like
absolutely.
what's your name? Oh, it's Aaron, but what's your name? It's Aaron. And like I there's a second of like there's a pause in there somewhere because I know they're about to try to pronounce it and I know they're about to butcher my name, so I'm like it's Eran, just like chill, don't be
Yeah.
because there have been so many pronunciations of my name that just you know, what's your name? Oh, it's Eran. Oh, how do you pronounce that? Is it Erin? Like it's just
Yeah,
it's so bad. And I like
it's funny.
do like a step-by-step process of like the entire Turkish language and the linguistics of it.
Hmm.
And they forget to listen to it and they just turn and they just go back to like the actual pronunciation itself,
Yeah.
It's just call me Aaron,
Yeah, it's like
please.
when the Karens are eating at a Mexican
Uh,
restaurant, and they're like, "Oh,
yes.
gracias,
Oh my gosh.
gracias." They're like, "So cultured."
Oh my gosh. I'm so
Yeah.
cultured. I just took a big gulp out of my water. Please hydrate, y'all.
Hmm.
But yeah,
That's good.
that's
Yeah,
a yeah,
water's good. Water's healthy,
yeah.
you know.
I feel okay. I feel like I'm about to open a can of worms here for a second. Just for a second.
Please.
Okay. Water is wet. Okay, moving on.
Whoa, whoa, you did not have to go
Whoa,
that
bro.
far. Sorry.
Whoa.
That's a
um,
very we don't go there. We do not go there.
but yeah. Now that we've opened that can of worms, we can toss it into the abyss and move on.
That's right. Yeah, I'm not gonna even
Yes.
think about that
Not
one.
gonna even think about it. No, just casually walk away from the can of worms that have just been opened.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah. Mind if I crack my knuckles there for a
You
second?
know, I don't. I really don't. Yeah,
All
you
right,
crack
all right.
those knuckles.
You crack those knuckles, you bad boy. All right. Well, but yeah.
Speaking of knuckles,
Whoa! Is this gonna
um,
be a segue?
speaking of knuckles,
Yes.
I, actually, yeah, this is a really great segue into the realization I came to yesterday.
Ooh,
Well, first off, um, for those of you who don't know, Knuckles is a red echidna from the Sonic the Hedgehog series, which I personally am very fond of. Not of Knuckles, but of the Sonic franchise in general, just because
yes.
it was
Listen.
Sonic and Mario who were my two like childhood video game heroes. They were like, I basically,
Yes.
Sonic Unleashed, Sonic '06, which we don't talk about,
Listen.
Sonic
Sonic
Colors,
X. Sonic
Sonic
X.
X,
The
yeah,
cartoon.
the cartoon,
Yeah.
which was basically an anime.
Oh my
So
gosh. It was so good.
that was probably one of my first exposures to anime. Uh,
Yes. The theme
but
song was so catchy. It was okay. Here's the thing. Every anime fan I knew in Turkey, it like all of them watched Sonic X at some point in their lives. Like like the But yeah, yeah, it's basically anime. Yeah.
mhm. But yeah, it was if I wasn't playing, Mario, then I was
Mm,
playing Sonic. And I don't know, there was just something about Sonic that was so like I guess, what I've talked to about with a lot of people in video games, in terms of, why they like video games, which I found really interesting and I think would be a great research project in the works. But, I was talking to some of my friends who are really avid fans of video games. And, I think video games as a medium uh, separates itself from other mediums like movies or like books in that you're
yes.
given control, and it's really the control of the player that really makes video games a huge experience for a lot of people, because a lot of times people are using these video games as a way of controlling things in a life that sometimes they feel like they can't control themselves.
Yeah.
I was just talking to someone recently, and their a loved one had passed away, and they were using video games as a way,
Like a
of
coping.
yeah, almost as a sort
Yeah.
of coping mechanism kind of thing. And they were using it because they had felt that the video games were giving them control over you know uh in a in a in a medium that otherwise would not have given them control. um so that's what I really liked about video games. And likewise, I remember Sonic in my childhood was this way of escaping, having to do homework, and it
Yeah.
was being a child was really really cool, is what I'll say.
Yes. Being a child was in fact really cool. But that is, yeah, that's actually really interesting. I never actually thought about it that way, instead of like control, it was always like an isolation or a getaway mechanism for me,
Mm-hmm.
like
Oh
if
yeah.
I yeah, I mean, I had this I don't know how to describe it other than like a really like it was like a just
Yes. Go on.
imagine the most crappy um like controller, and like just like Nintendo, like just one of those old Nintendo consoles,
Mm-hmm.
I had one of those growing up as a child, and
Mm-hmm.
it essentially had every game possible at
Wow.
the time. And like just yeah, just Sonic, Mario, that kind of thing. And it was obviously pirated, and it was like running yeah,
Like
it
10
was really
FPS.
yes, it was really low quality, but for me at that time it was just the most revolutionary thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
Because I grew up on like, crappy games online, like, oh,
Mm.
dress up of that one person from One Direction, that kind of
Yeah, like
online
the
games,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
and as a child, even that was like, oh my gosh, how did they come up with this, bro? Like that,
Brilliant. Brilliant.
brilliant, 10 out of 10. Like, so when I came across, Sonic the Hedgehog, Mario, that like Street Fighter, that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
the old Street Fighter, I I was just blown away, and it just got better.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Honestly.
like literally, I'm recording this in my room right now, and right behind my mic is my PS3, and like I, there's PS4 and there's Xbox 360 and whatnot, but I still think PS3 and all the games that can like comes with it is just so good at this point. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like graphics, they don't matter.
Yeah,
I have my Assassin's Creed 4, my Assassin's Creed Rogue, my plenty of Assassin's Creeds actually.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. Gosh, but yeah, that's actually another topic. Assassin's Creed. It's a topic of its own. It's kind of a can of worms on itself.
Really, Assassin's Creed?
Yeah, Assassin's Creed. Because, like, I mean, it's a matter of like old games versus the new games.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Okay, yeah.
some people think the franchise kind of like began to deteriorate in a way after
Mm-hmm.
Assassin's Creed 3.
Mm-hmm.
When spoiler alert, skip like 10 seconds if you haven't played Assassin's Creed 3. But yeah, Desmond dies. And people think that was the turning point in the entire franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And I really don't think that was the case. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, I played the old games and I really preferred the newer games compared to the older games.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people think, oh, the newer games aren't Assassin's Creed games. They're
Yeah.
Greek mythology games, or they're Egyptian, Roman
Yeah.
games, that
Mm-hmm.
kind of, or pirate games. They're not Assassin's Creed games. To which I reply, there are assassins involved, and it's a good game, and it's from Ubisoft, and there's a big old Assassin's Creed symbol in the beginning, the end, the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Assassin's Creed. It's a good game. Just take it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking actually about I haven't played Assassin's Creed. But I am familiar. I am
Yeah.
familiar with Assassin's Creed. Um, I
I'm
was just
sorry.
thinking. Huh? No, 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 you're
I
good.
kind of gave you a spoiler there.
I wasn't planning on playing it, so
Oh, okay,
there you
cool.
go. Maybe down the road I will.
Mm,
But I was just thinking about recently, because you said there are people like, oh, the old games are better and all that.
yeah.
Um, I was just thinking about because yesterday, right? I swear this is related, but yesterday I had just finished watching Steven Universe, right?
Ooh.
And which is an excellent show, by the way. Would highly recommend. Um, we can
Grab your can of worms. Open them up.
exactly, yeah, store them for another
We're
time.
gonna get like 30,000 angry comments, like 9-to-1 dislike ratio. How dare you like Steven Universe?
But I
But yes,
do,
it's a good
I
show.
do.
I agree with you.
It is an excellent show, great music, all that. But it got me thinking, right?
Mm,
I was thinking about, you know, childhood shows or shows I had watched as a child. And I was thinking about, you know, why people are always so like nostalgic. And here's
mm,
what I mean by that. You know, obviously when we're children, we have a different experience of things than we do as adults.
yeah.
Now, how this relates to the Assassin's Creed thing, um, clearly the first time you play something is going to be like a magical experience. And so a lot of people who have played or played the older Assassin's Creed games as their first Assassin's Creed games probably are more biased because that was the first thing they played. Um, Now, this is kind of can of wormy, but I swear it's almost over. But in the same vein, I was thinking about, you know, children's shows, and I was thinking about, how come I don't, hear about shows like Adventure Time or like in terms of um, like great children's like animated films or TV shows, right? And I was
Mm.
thinking about, man, I remember seeing the first episodes of Adventure Time and Steven Universe was great and, Amazing World of Gumball. And, I came to this realization, right, that because I watched it as a child, it's now forever ingrained as part of the childhood experience, right? And when you describe
Mm.
the childhood experience to someone, they're like, oh yeah, I watched these shows and I had, silly bands growing up and, all this stuff.
Oh.
And made me come to a really sad realization that, you know, even though, because I was thinking about it, right? You know, how come I don't just, watch these shows that are regarded as great? Because I never finished watching Adventure Time, right? I watched
Yeah,
like
no,
the
me
first half,
neither. Yeah.
but I never finished watching it. But I remember seeing people at the end be like, oh my gosh, this was the greatest show ever. And I was thinking about it. Oh, why don't I just watch it now? And I came to the realization was that um, some people, because I think Adventure Time started in like 2008 or
It
something crazy
started a
like that.
while ago. Hold on.
Yeah,
I have to look it up actually.
but it definitely
Uppity
started
gap.
a long time ago. And I think it went like on a 10-year thing. Can you verify my
Um, oh gosh. When did Adventure Time start? April 5th, 2010.
2010? It was 2 years off. Gosh darn.
My
And
gosh.
I
I
know
didn't I didn't realize it was that old. Now I feel old.
it's super old. I know. I was just looking at that and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm super old.
Do you hear that, audience? Do you hear that? That's the sound of my heart sinking. Just
I know.
yeah.
But yeah, I was looking at that and it, I came to the sad realization. Not really like sad, but I guess just melancholic realization
Yeah.
that, some people have invested all, 8, 9, however many years into that show
Period of childhood. Yeah.
and period of childhood. And the reason I can't just watch Adventure Time now is because it'll never be the same because I will never be a child again, which is sort of like sad, but at the same time, it's it's
Yeah.
whatever. And likewise, I was thinking about when I watched Endgame, right?
Mm.
I hadn't invested those 12 or 10 or however many years. I'm so bad at numbers if you can't tell yet because some people, had watched the first Iron Man movie in 2008, I think, and had invested in every single movie, and that's why it was such an
Right.
emotional experience and wasn't as an emotional of an experience for me. And I can never replicate that unless I
Yeah.
watch one movie, each year for the
Well,
next like
yeah.
10 years. And so it was sort of
Which
like
is
a
kind of hard to do.
yeah,
Not gonna
it's kind
lie.
of difficult,
Yeah.
especially when you have access to every single movie, right then and there.
And you're
So
literally stuck inside your own house.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I guess it was just a very
Yeah.
melancholic, but like
But
that's
yeah,
life kind of
that's that
realization.
yeah,
Try
that
to
is
like,
an interesting way of looking at it. Yeah. Like people prefer the older games because the newer games don't how should I say, like don't make them react the same way they did as as their younger self.
hmm
You know, like for example, someone who played Assassin's Creed Brotherhood might not be, affected in the same way when they played Assassin's Creed Unity or Assassin's Creed Rogue, that kind of
right,
stuff.
exactly.
And that's why they might get angry and be like, "Oh, the older Assassin's Creed games were better." No, 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 no. And yeah, that's actually a good way of looking at it. One of the things that were discussed, when I saw some of the complaints people had about Steven Universe, which will never be a bad show in my opinion. Because it's a good show. It has a good message. It's a good show. It has a good plot. It has good lore. It's just good. I like the music too. I still listen to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you and me both.
But yeah, oh gosh, Garnet. Any song Garnet's in is just in every soundtrack I like in every playlist I have. But
Yeah,
yeah,
honestly.
but yeah, like one of the I went so off there,
You're
but yeah,
good.
one of the complaints people had was how changing the art style was. I
For Assassin's Creed?
No, for not for Assassin's Creed, for Steven
For
Universe.
Steven Universe.
And
Yeah, when they
like I kind of understand that in a way because like when you're focused on the art style and not like the story itself or the show itself, it might get a bit hard to watch, you know.
mm-hmm.
And if you had watched the earlier episodes and enjoyed them, and then you got distracted by the art style in the later episodes, that might be that like that reaction might be appropriate
Yeah.
in
Mm-hmm.
that way. Uh, but yeah, I understand that. That's kind of a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, just just food for thought,
Food for thought. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought, yeah,
Gosh.
I went on a whole like just recently, like a whole childhood like nostalgia
Yeah.
spree, which I have occasionally,
Yeah.
especially when I feel like not doing my lectures or,
Mm.
assignments that I have to do for college. I tend to go on, childhood sprees where
You're gonna receive like a really angry email from all of your professors.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
all man, I don't even know how many I have at
All
this moment.
55 of them.
Yes,
All of
there's
them.
only
The entire
55.
faculty is gonna join in and just crapping on you.
Yeah,
Yeah. Uh,
literally.
They're gonna come to your house. Okay, no. Staying home. Stay at home, y'all.
Snaps for that.
For that. But yeah, I was one of the children who like because my father actually went to America for business trips, and while he was coming back, he got like Legos and that kind of stuff,
Hmm.
and I essentially had like an entire childhood around the stuff he brought back from America. And some of those things were Legos, that kind of stuff. you know that's why Hero Factory is still like fresh in my memory,
Yeah.
while literally nobody else knows about it. Oh, wasn't that like a Bionicle thing? And I just kind of like inhale, exhale, and move on. But yeah, and some of the things he brought was uh DVDs.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the first, like some of the first DVDs he brought were Transformers,
Hmm.
Michael Bay's Transformers,
Yeah.
Iron Man, and the
Nice.
entire set of Avatar: Last Airbender. The first, second,
Nice.
and third seasons, and just I had like me as like a 5-year-old child had grown up on Avatar. We had Nickelodeon. I like turned it on. Yeah, I
Yeah.
literally sang with the end credits. Like like 5-year-old me just jumping up and down
Babbling.
the
Yeah.
couch, just babbling the
Uh,
yeah. So when I saw these things and I watched these things and I like absorbed these things, they made their way into my mindset just like as my childhood, you
mm,
know?
mm-hmm.
So when I saw the later movies, you did like Avengers, like Ultron, Age of Ultron,
Mm-hmm.
and Legend of Korra, like all those different movies that came out like later, I was
Mm-hmm.
just not interested.
Mm-hmm.
So I just
Yeah.
kind of ignored them and moved on to other forms of entertainment because they
Yeah.
just didn't have the same effect on me.
Right. 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 Yeah. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the thing. It's like once again, when you're a child, you just experience things so differently.
Mm.
which it can be a good thing and a bad thing. Um, blessings and curses, but I think the one thing I do, I guess, like about watching shows now, is that, and then this could just be a me thing, like what I personally like doing, but the one thing I do like about watching shows now as opposed to watching as a child is that because I, you know, do have more brain power than 5-year-old Neiman, uh, luckily, I really like to, I'm a huge overanalyzer, and I
Yes,
basically
same,
overanalyze
same.
everything. And especially like all of the more like literary elements of shows, in that, what is this a
Hmm.
metaphor of, what does this
Hmm.
signify,
Interesting. Yeah.
what does this say about the relationship, kind of thing. um like, for example, in the first half of watching Steven Universe, I was
Mm.
kind of just watching like, yay,
I mean,
pretty
yeah,
colors, and all that fun
woman
stuff.
having power. Yeah.
Yay, rocks that can talk. And then the second half, I was really examining like their dialogue and really examining like, okay, what are they saying here? Why are they saying that? Perhaps Blue Diamond is blue because she's sad, which I know is a very like surface level analysis of why she's blue, but um, great song
Great song.
if any of you are looking to listen to some music right now. But
Yes.
yeah, no, I also like to do that a lot as well. And actually, literally just yesterday, I was reading on the subreddit for screenplay writing, which
Mm.
that's one of the places Reddit takes you when you're on a Reddit spree.
Yeah,
And
there you go.
I was basically reading a whole Reddit post on good screenplay because
Mm.
I was really interested in like, you know, I was talking to my sister recently because I'm also currently watching Assassination Classroom, um,
Oh, it's
which
so
is an anime.
good. So
Very good
good.
anime.
Oh my
Not finished yet, so
gosh.
no spoilers.
I'm not gonna give you
Um,
spoilers, but it's
have you
so
finished it?
good. Yes. I finished it twice over.
Wow.
I've literally watched the first and second season twice, and the first season all on its own, just like in a day. One like
Nice.
I think it was like 3 months ago because I was feeling nostalgic and like I don't know. I just went back. It's so good. I
Yeah, no,
recommend
no,
it.
yeah, it's good. Um, yeah, so currently I'm watching that, right?
Hmm.
And my sister and I were having a discussion about dialogue, right, in shows in general. And because as I was watching the series, I realized, um, don't hate me for this. I was watching an English dub. Um,
How dare you?
oh, thank God.
But no. Assassination Classroom is actually one of the animes that has good dub. You
Mm,
know,
mm-hmm.
so yeah. I won't judge you for it. But YouTube will 30,000 YouTube
No!
comments.
Put it next to my 55 professor emails.
Your opinion is
My
invalidated.
no.
But yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. My
I'm sorry.
goodness. You should be. But I was watching Assassination Classroom, and we were having this discussion about dialogue. Um, and because there were a few moments during that show where the dialogue was just very, and I'm liking the show so far. I'm really liking the show, but there were a few moments in the show where the dialogue was not that great. In that, um, what I mean by that is that the dialogue was like very explicit with either what was happening or the way someone was feeling. Now, as an example, um, there was I think actually I took a picture of it
Ooh.
because I was like, oh, this is a perfect example of what I was thinking about. Yeah, here. So in one episode, I think Kora Sensei, who's the teacher in that series,
Yes.
um, at one point, he was trying to, I think, like help all of the students with like a test or something.
Right.
Um, and then
Oh, so like that one thing where he was teaching all of them at once?
yeah, that one.
Oh, yeah, nice.
I think that's what this episode is. I could be wrong, but following that, there was an interaction where one of the characters says, "I don't know, maybe he does it for the attention," which, in my opinion, this could be a can of wormy, but I'll close it very soon. But it was very, I don't know, the way he said, I don't know, maybe he does it for the attention, I think is something that should be implied in the actions and not necessarily said out loud. And to gateway into the why I was reading a subreddit about screenplay writing, was this very you know dialogue interaction, because I thought, huh, interesting. And so that
Interesting.
got me thinking about like, what is good dialogue? Maybe I don't even know what good dialogue is, because like, who am I to judge if I don't write screenplays? And so
Yeah,
that's
there
how
you
I got on the screenplay Reddit, and I read a whole bunch of interesting things about good and bad screenplay. So,
Noise.
so yeah, those are.
Quick thing. We hit the 30-minute mark like 2 minutes ago.
Yay!
So I didn't wanna interrupt you again.
Thank you. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
no problem. No
Okay.
problem, boo. All right. But yeah, that's I mean, good dialogue is actually hard to come by because especially when especially when someone's creating a simple like story slash dialogue by themselves, they because the entire thing is in their minds, and I don't know if people know this, but human minds are jumbled. It's literally a
Indeed.
sponge inside of our skulls.
Mm-hmm.
So when a single person tries to come up with a dialogue all by themselves, it becomes jumbled, it becomes messy, and when you spew down on paper, it might not be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why the profession of editor exists.
Yeah.
Just go back, oh, fix that, fix this, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Flush it out a bit.
Mm-hmm.
What did you mean by this? Oh, okay, did this, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, when you look at it from like an artist's point of view or a creator's point of view, it becomes like clear what they were trying to do back then. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I'm interested. Have you ever, since you're still doing like, acting and whatnot,
Mm.
have you ever personally encountered any like monologues or scenes where you thought the dialogue was like, you know,
Well, here's the thing about theater. Because it's, how should I say this? Now, unless the writer tells you to explicitly do something, you don't have to do it.
right.
And like as far as the actor is concerned, it's the actor's job to come up with a certain way to portray a character. Sure, the director is there to give directions, that it's in the name, but like eventually it comes down to the actor to come up with the correct, action and objective and the tone of voice to say certain things and to do certain things while just saying those things. So I mean, bad dialogue is only bad if it's unworkable.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't just take it and make it your own.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have come up with stuff that I thought, oh, this could have been better, but I still managed to work with it, and I still managed to, like present it as a proper monologue or as a proper scene or as a proper, you know, thing, beat or something like that. So it just boils down to flexibility, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Because when a dialogue is involved, it's not just, when like for example, dubbed anime, right?
Yeah.
There's voice actors involved, there's voice directors involved, there's writers, translators involved. People have to come up with a certain way to translate this from Japanese to English while still making sense, while still it being appealing to the audience in a way, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And the voice actor has to come up with a certain tone of voice for the character, the certain uh he has to observe what the character is doing at that point, and play his or her voice in a way
Yeah.
that fits the action. So it's layers upon layers upon layers upon layers of activity and action, and just
Mm-hmm.
work and work and work and work and work. So it's not just bad dialogue, but it's just a matter of unflexibility,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
got really deep into that.
No, yeah, I
Yeah,
was like watching your face. I was like, wow, yeah, this is
yeah.
good stuff. This is good
Nobody's
stuff.
gonna be nobody's gonna be able to see my face in this, but I was like
Thank
gesturing all
God.
over the place. Yeah. Oh, thank God. Yeah.
Kidding. I'm kidding. You got a beautiful
Oh
face, Aaron.
no. But yeah, gosh, I have a tick. I just realized that I crack my knuckles every once in a while.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
I'm so sorry.
You're talking about that kind of tick. When you said I have a tick, I at first I thought of the little bug and I was like, thanks for announcing that you have a
No.
blood-sucking creature on your
Um, darn, bro. I literally just have my head shaved by my dad.
Oh,
But yeah,
fun. Fun, fun,
that
fun.
it was fun. Yeah, it's like it actually turned out all right, but it still feels a bit weird because one side of my hair is like disproportionate to the other side, so it's like
Yeah, imagine having hair.
I'm sorry.
Can't relate.
Can't relate.
It's
Don't
okay.
worry,
I know
Neiman.
we're
Don't
like
worry.
it's like watching
According to
two polar opposites. It's like we've got the bearded man and then the baby face. You know what I mean?
yeah, you're the bearded man, obviously.
Oh yeah, no, I was
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't clarify. I'm the bearded
Yeah.
man and Aaron
you
is
have
the
you have a big old Viking beard. Uh,
oh yeah, that's
but
right.
yeah, because the audience isn't. Do you want to clarify? Just like give a brief physical description to the audience or
Yeah,
something.
sure.
I don't know. Just like fill their imagination.
Yeah, so I've got tentacles coming out of my back.
Yes, indeed.
I've got no.
I
Uh,
have I have a total of 12 arms and 15 legs.
that's right.
15.
Yeah.
Yes.
My eyes are not where my eyes should be. Um,
Oh
let's
boy.
just say, the mouth isn't the only opening on my face. Um,
Yes.
uh, yeah, no, I'm, I feel like, have we done this? Where I said I'm Filipino and all that?
Yeah, we did. We did. Yeah.
Okay, we did.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure
Um
if we had done it already.
yeah, no. Instead of, an actual human face and body, just imagine flags in our stead. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the,
Exactly.
the Filipino flag and the Turkish flag.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's the extent of our characters according
right.
to according to Netflix plot logic.
That's right. Yeah.
That's another can of worms that shall not be opened.
Urgh.
Oh, because I can rant about that forever.
Yeah.
You know,
Honestly, it seems like we can rant about a lot of our shelf is
a lot
getting
of
bigger
things.
by
Oh
the
yeah,
minute. Yeah.
yeah. We have to do a can of worms episode.
Hmm.
Uh, I have to create a PayPal eventually. Now that I think about that, it's not related
You
to.
should.
Yeah, I should. It's not related to the topic at hand. It just came to
Welcome
my mind.
to Aaron's to-do list podcast, where he just lists things he needs to do in the
I'm
future.
sorry. I'm sorry. I have the attention span of a monkey.
It's okay.
Uh,
It's okay, Aaron.
but yeah, going back to shows and shows I watched as a child. Actually, I recently started watching Avatar: The Last Airbender again.
Woo.
Did you watch it actually,
I
Neiman?
did. I did watch Ancora.
Nice,
Hmm.
nice, Ancora, nice. And my gosh, it was such a good show. Like I knew it as a child, but now it's just watching it as a quote unquote adult because uh, but yeah, watching it as legally an adult, it's just like
Yeah, we're watching it legally now. Watching it illegally,
That's not what
secondly.
I meant. That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. But yeah, watching it now, it just creates a whole other level to it. It's just because I did not understand the significance and the devastation that might come. Like, you know, the the meaning of 100 years of war, you
Mm,
know,
yeah.
especially since the powers involved is, on one side we have a fully industrialized nation with a people that have a mindset that's just completely focused on supremacy over the other nations. And on the other side, we have just a ragtag bunch of nations that despite having such an enemy, haven't even come together to fight against it because they're so
Mm,
isolationist and so
mm-hmm.
knee bent on the four elements, keeping the balance. It has to
Yeah.
stay separate, that kind of thing. Like, watching it now, the Earth Kingdom is God. Like, it's such a shattered nation that just you know one of the characters, Boomy, is a
Hmm.
king.
Right.
There's a king inside a nation that is ruled by another king. That's the level of isolationism and splintered, state of being that place is in.
Right.
So much so that literally another nation can just waltz on into a piece of its territory and, oh, those are my colonies now. Whoop-de-whoop-doo. So it's just, it creates a whole other meaning when you watch it as an adult.
Hmm.
I
Absolutely.
don't know. It's
Yeah.
such a good show when it comes to
Hmm.
lore, plot, and
Yeah.
characters too. So it's like,
No,
yeah,
absolutely. I absolutely agree with all of those things. And, just really quickly, um, you know, I think same thing can apply with Steven Universe, in my
yes,
opinion. I think watching it as an adult definitely has way different, implications than when you're watching it as a child. Because again, when you're watching it as a child, you're like, yay, pretty colors and
yay,
talking rocks and all that.
yeah,
But when you watch it as an adult, there's themes of like abuse,
mm,
relationship abuse.
yeah,
There's themes of, literal totalitarianism and dictatorship.
yeah. Like,
You know,
it literally has Orwellian themes embedded into it. Like the gems, they pop out of the earth knowing what they're supposed to do, and they have to do it perfectly or else they're gonna be deaded. So
exactly.
it's
They will commit
yeah,
die.
there is, yes. And like, here's another thing about Steven Universe that I really like. Watching it as an adult, like watching it as a child, you look at Steven Universe and you're like, oh, he's such a goofball. He's happy-go-lucky. Like, he's a cutie. That kind of thing. But you watch it then as an adult, and you see Steven, and you see the stuff he's going through, and you realize he's not just happy and cute and all that stuff. This is a sensitive kid that's going through more trauma than anyone else in the world.
Or the universe
Whoa!
for that matter.
Ah, ah. Yep. Steven Universe or the entire universe is out to get you. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, it gets such a meaning when you watch it as an adult. I can't
Mhm.
even express it in words.
Yeah, honestly.
Let's express it in Mickey. But yeah,
In song.
in no, this is not a musical. This is a podcast. Get that theater kid
Oh.
stuff out of here.
Wah,
Yeah,
wah,
I don't
wah.
know why people hate theater kids so much. Maybe it's because we burst out into song every now and then. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I would say so.
Yeah,
After going to festivals, for how many years I've been to festival, I think it's
yeah,
pretty safe to say.
yeah. That's why I never went to festivals.
Hmm.
Honestly, Miss Bedgar thought, oh, he's sick. He's having family issues. No, I just really didn't want to be next to that many theater kids.
Yeah, it can be pretty emotionally draining when you're
Yeah,
around. especially because at festivals too. Those festivals are also competitions, so
Yeah.
it's a very can lead to very interesting things. I know the very last year I was at high school, we went to Fullerton Festival, um, and one of the things we did there, um, which to this day I'm still not sure whether I enjoyed or not, but we basically had a musical dance off, right, from all the schools who like had their musicals,
uh,
and all of a sudden, because like throughout the entire festival, right, they were playing a bunch of musical songs,
right.
and then at one point, they played Brotherhood of Man, which was from our musical that
Yeah.
year, How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. And Brotherhood of Man is like the one big, guy dance number, right? And they started
Yeah.
playing it. And I was over at the tent, right? And our tent, to help you visualize, so there's like a stadium, or not a stadium, like a podium area in front of like this
Right, right, right.
building, and there's this huge like grassy quad area right in front of the podium in the building, and we were basically in one of the corners of that little grassy area, and
Right.
so we were really close to like where all of the speakers were for the all where all of the musicals were playing, and so I was sitting at the tent. All of a sudden, Brotherhood of Man starts playing, and I look around, and then people are, they're pointing at me, and they're like, "Neiman, go, go, go!" And I'm like, "What are you guys talking about? Like, it's just Brotherhood of Man." And I see my other fellow, Brotherhood of Man dancers running over to the little quad
Yeah, the
area,
performing area.
yeah, like right in front,
Yeah.
and they're all there, and suddenly I'm like, oh dang, I guess we're doing this, and I run over, and there's this huge crowd of just all these musical theater kids and drama kids just surrounding it. And then all of a sudden, Davide, who was the lead in How
Lead.
to Succeed,
Yeah.
he started singing, and then we started dancing to our Brotherhood of Man, which I guess was fun in the moment because the musical had ended and I was a senior, and I was like, oh, it's like the last time we'll
Uh,
do it.
mm-ts, mm-ts.
But yeah, it was basically like a dance battle,
Right.
for all of the musical theater kids, and it's just one of those things, that is like, that's the type of thing theater kids would do. They would have musical
Yeah.
theater dance battles and have, they would, quiz each other on musical theater trivia and all that.
Oh gosh. At the very least, I never came across a theater kid that, that was willing to go out of their way to quiz me on trivia.
Mm. Hmm.
So, by
I
the way, we
know.
hit the 45-minute mark like 3 minutes ago. Uh, but yeah, because I don't know darn about theater, like musical trivia and that kind of
Oh
stuff.
yeah. Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know very limited
yeah.
information. What
I'd
they
like to
really should quiz you on is all the plays and whatnot, because not a lot of
yes,
people know about plays, but is also a very essential part to theater. So,
yes. Like people think theater and people think, like gaudy musicals with tap dance numbers all over the place, like, and it's really not that. Or Shakespeare. Like it ranges from either gaudy musicals with tap dance numbers to Shakespeare. And it's just like that I guess that's why there's such a stigma against theater kids is because like people are expected to be like one of two things, and when they aren't, people are like, why, like I expected your personality, why are you making me actually get to know you, or
ooh,
something, like
yeah,
that kind of thing. At least that's what I think. I don't know.
no,
uh
absolutely, yeah,
but yeah, gosh, I wanted to be in How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, but like uh I was taking pre-calc at the time,
yeah. Hmm.
and I guess my grades weren't like, you know, acceptable in my parents' point of view. And they were like, if you join this, you know, mm-mm-mm. And
Yeah. Oh,
and all of my friends in the play were like, "Oh, come on, you should join. We're missing men. Like come here." And I was like, "No, no, I cannot." And what pissed
rip.
me off the most was after after all was said and done, a few months later, me and my dad we went to watch the thing, and
Mhm.
if you remember, I was sick at the time. Like
Yeah.
I was so like, oh my gosh, like my ears felt like they were about to pop. I couldn't speak. My
Oh
throat was
no.
like my nose was running. I could barely breathe. I kind of sat in the chair of the theater.
Yeah.
Like,
I know the
yeah,
feeling.
yeah. And it was a great musical. You guys did great. And after all was said and done, my dad literally looked at me and he was like, "Good show, very good show," because he has a really good. But
Oh,
but I'll tell
I
you
loved
something.
I loved that in your Turkish accent you put on another Turkish accent. So it was double the Turkish accent.
I know,
That
right?
was
Yeah.
amazing.
Thank you, thank you. But yeah, he was like, "Good show, very good show." But I'll tell you something. If you join this play, this semester would be over for you. I'm kind of doing a Russian accent right now because that's kind of what people hear when they hear my dad. But yeah, but yeah. And later he had the audacity to ask me, "Oh, why didn't you join? Why didn't you, be a part of that? You could have been happy." And I was like, "I wonder
Well,
why." Yeah,
yeah.
parents,
Ask
parents.
yourself 3 months ago.
Hmm. But yeah, parents. That's another can of worms, bro.
Yeah, it's got a
Yeah,
lot on our shelf.
yeah.
But this has
Uh,
been the Save It for
this
the
has been
Podcast
Save It for the Podcast.
podcast. Thank you for listening to all 50 minutes of today's episode.
52 minutes.
52 minutes of today's episode. We appreciate you listening in. Any
We
final
appreciate
words?
you. We appreciate you,
We do
audience.
appreciate you. We do appreciate you.
Hey, guess what? Guess what? If you're having a bad day right now, you're awesome. You should feel awesome. Okay? We love you.
Platonically,
There we
of
go.
course. Because
Platonically,
why would we
platonically,
romantically
because
like you?
yeah, we don't even know you. Like, gosh, get us dinner
Yeah,
first.
exactly. Get us dinner first. Gosh darn
Oh
it.
gosh.
All right.
Is that gonna be our Patreon like tagline or something like
Buy us
that?
dinner
No.
first.
But ask
Oh, I
dinner
wish.
first. Oh god, no. I
Well,
don't
I
want to be one of those gaudy podcasters. You.
yeah,
Ew. 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 But yeah, this
shake it
has been
off.
Save It for the Podcast. Shake it off.
Thanks for listening. See you next week.
Yep.